POE haunted experience, a few things before we begin. Please keep in mind you can leave at any time to see me or my associate. He's running late, apparently. There will be strobe lights and flaws of the entire experience. Please silence all your telephones, and please do not use flash photography. If you wish to take photography out of flash, please tag us. Thank you. The others do not like the technology, so please silence it. One last thing. If you see me, for whatever reason, fall unconscious onto the ground, it's fine, it's normal for me. Don't bury me, I can't go back. Not to the grave, I can't go back to the grave. No, I was buried alive. Where is my associate?
Hey, Tim, what do you think?
Alright, I guess you're filling in for him. Everyone, please meet Lucifer.
At your service. Let the show begin. Follow us, please. On the floor.
Just stay with me. Please.
Please do move around so everyone can fit in, if you don't mind. Is everyone?
Alright. Poe was born to David Poe Jr. and Eliza Poe, January 19th, 1809 in Boston. His family was very poor, and both his mother and his father died when he was very young.
When he was 18, he joined the military to support himself financially and to get away from his foster father. When he was 27, his aunt wanted him to marry his cousin, Virginia, who died 11 years later.
He was known to abuse alcohol and opium for the majority of his life. Many believe this loss fueled his writings. We welcome you to the disturbingly philosophical mind of Edgar Allan Poe.
We are having more issues again.
Please file in.
Yes, please.
Stand behind the line.
Must be everyone. Now it is time to show you the story of Poe's life, with our exploration of media, how information is passed, with the second oldest continuing art form in Western culture, the puppet show.
It is written in the Punch and Judy style, which is known for its slapstick comedy. This show is on Poe's interesting and death-filled life. Let the show begin.
Hello. My name is Thaddeus Bruno Punch. You can call me TB or Mr. Punch. I want you to meet a little friend of mine. Edgar? He's very shy, you see. Edgar! Aww. How old are you, my boy? Mommy. Miss Eliza? Oh, you know. She's on stage taking a mediocre curtain call after her mediocre performance. There she is! How was the play, Miss Poe? Small audience. I know what you mean. Mommy! Edgar, darling, don't come too close. I'm afraid Mama's got a cup back. What was that, Mommy? Blood, darling. That's awful. Well, we'll go back. Oh no, not again! What am I going to do? Don't worry, give her a jungle. He's not my father, and he hates me. Whatever. Why don't you off the school in the other time? Good idea. Maybe we'll get married again. I'm back. Already? How was it? I have a lot of family debt. What? What are you going to do with your life? Become a poet. You were a parasite. Get out of my house. I'll show you. I'll join the army. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Private Poe! Yes? West Point will not put up with this. You signed up under a false name. You snuck booze into barracks. And you never made your bed. Your guardian sends where it'll take you back. See ya! Carry me back to old Virginia. Mr. Allen, I'm, back. Mr. Allen, where are you? Dead! Dead? Dead! Give me a dime! Why don't you go out and climb on her daughter? Good idea. Hi, Pudge. Hi, Virginia. Why don't you marry Virginia? No, she's my first cousin. It's 1836. It's only 13. It's 1836, darling. Everybody does it. I'll leave you to them to consummate the marriage. I'm too beautiful. weak and country want to consummate our marriage, we can try again later. On to you. We don't have any money. I can get a job in Philadelphia. Let's move there. Wow. This is more small and greedy than Virginia. What? The state, idiots! Not you. I need to go and make some money. He's a great writer. Yeah. I got $2 for that story. Hooray! Someone offered me 50 cents for a lecture. Look up and not cut, sweetheart. What was that? Blood. I will be the doctor. Who are you? Death. Coughing up blood's a death sentence in 1806. Sorry that took me so long. I had a drink and lost a week. I'm here! Doctor, can you do something? Sure! No! Oh no, not again! What am I going to do? Have a drink. Thanks. Get engaged with no boister. Okay. Go write. Write what? Short stories and poems, of course. I'm so confused. Don't worry, you'll know what to do. Here, take some opium. Thanks. It'll help with my demons. Off you go. You too. Go on. Go. The mad-minded Poe is waiting. Yeah. No!
Right, so fun.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Alright. In Poe's time, popular culture was obsessed with the idea of Gothic genres and cultures, eventually leading to the idea of your other or your twin.
Speaking of which, have I seen you before? You look familiar. Did you come through here earlier? Oh, it must have been your doppelganger. We'll see them shortly. Let's see, you four with me, please. Yeah, this way.
And proceed with me, please.
Get out of here! Now! Let go of me! Get out! Get out!
It's fine, sweetheart.
The quality of uncanniness can only come from the fact of the double being recruited.
Is that everyone? We might need you guys a little more forward, please. Thank you.
Let me call myself William Wilson. We carry the same name.
It started off friendly, but little did he know.
I resented him on the inside.
He stole my distinctive way of life.
I found it grotesque.
But I couldn't resist his charming attitude. I have to kill him. We cannot coexist.
You must die!
But in me did he exist? For I murdered thyself, and William Wilson is no longer.
Hurry now! Hurry! Quickly now! Let's go! Quickly, let's move! We have to go quickly.
Okay.
Quickly! This way! This way!
It's okay. No, right here.
Poe was fascinated with what he called the imp of the perverse. The same urge to do what he knows will be his destruction. The narrative of the next story is plagued by this imp of the perverse. He does what will be his destruction.
Okay, we should
Fallon, follow.
Black Cat was inspired by the end of the anti-alcoholic tracts in our era that were written... Oh, please, no. Please stay over here. By supposed ex-alcoholics. They were meant to show how badly people acted under the influence.
Don't go in there! He's gonna kill you!
Go in there.
Please don't go in there! Don't do it!
Alright, let's move on. Quickness. Even sir.
Quickly.
Please follow him. Quickly now.
Take a seat. Take a seat.
Please move all the way down now.
It's mad I am not. Most very surely I do not dream. You will pardon me for seeking relief in a few rambling details. I place before you a series of mere household events that have destroyed me. From my infancy I was noted for the gentleness of my disposition.
You love animals as much as I. You are a man with a good heart.
So my wife procured for me.
Birds.
Love,
A fine dog.
noble animal.
Rabbits.
Again,
And a cat.
ah, the cats, a remarkably large and beautiful animal, entirely lacking quite intelligence.
All cats are indeed witches in disguise, my dear. Pluto.
Pluto, this is the cat's name.
He is your favorite of all the animals. Is he not?
I alone feed him.
Well, he follows you everywhere, even into the street.
Our friendship lasted in this manner for several years, during which my gentlemanly temperament began to change.
I need more scotch.
I grew more moody and more irritable.
This is repulsive.
I'm sorry,
My disease grew upon me. Even Pluto could not escape the effects of my ill temper. One night returning home much intoxicated. Pluto.
Damn beast!
Fury of a demon instantly dismissed me. Fool! I knew myself no longer.
Where is it?
My waistcoat pockets.
Open it.
A knife.
Get the beast by the throat.
And deliberately
Cut one of its eyes.
from the sockets. When reason returned in the morning. But I again plunged into excess.
I'll soon drown on the memory of the deed.
In the meantime, the socket of the lost eye presented. It is truly a frightful appearance.
But he no longer appears to be suffering any pain.
He went about the house as usual.
But he flees in terror at my approach.
I had so much of my old heart left to be at first grieved by this evident dislike, but that feeling gave way to
Irritation. The spirit of perverseness has entered me.
Of this spirit, philosophy takes no account. It is truly a primitive impulse of the human heart.
Who has not, dear wife, 100 times found himself committing a vile or silly action for no reason other than because he knows he should not?
It was this unfathomable longing of the soul to vex itself that urged me to continue and consummate the injury I had inflicted upon the unoffending brute. One morning,
In cold blood,
I slipped the noose,
about its neck,
and from a limb,
of a tree,
I hung it! Hung it with the tears streaming from my eyes.
hung it because I knew
Because I knew that in doing so, I placed my immortal soul even beyond the reach of
the most merciful and terrible God.
Months after what I had done, I could not rid my mind of the cats. I went as far as to regret the loss of the animal. One night as I sat,
Half stupefied,
my attention was suddenly drawn to some
black object.
on top of the...
Table.
I approached and touched it.
It is a large black cat.
The animal evinced a disposition to follow my every movement. I soon found a dislike to it arising.
Sing within me.
Its evident fondness for me,
Disgusts and annoys me.
but I keep myself from destroying it with a blow, partly by memory of my former crime, but chiefly by...
An absolute dread of the beast. A brute beast.
Of all things and all mankind, my wife was the most patient sufferer from my outburst of fury. She led me into the basement that day.
I found the finest wine, but it's in the cellar.
The cat followed us down the steep stairs.
Damn beast!
I picked up an axe. Goaded by this interference into a rage more than demoniacal, I withdrew my arm from her grasp and buried the axe.
In her brain.
This hideous murder accomplished, I set myself to the task of
Concealing the body.
I knew that I could.
Wall it up in the cellar. I could displace the bricks at this point. Insert the corpse. And wall it up as before so that no eye could detect that anything had happened.
Once again I breathed.
As a free man, I shall behold it
No more! The guilt of the murder disturbed me little. Few inquiries have been made, but of course they had been readily answered. Even a search had been instituted, but nothing was found. On the 4th day of the assassination,
The police! I wish to make another search.
as you please. He left no corner unexplored.
Into the cellar.
My heart beat calmly as that of one who sleeps in innocence. I quavered not a muscle.
Well, I'm satisfied, sir. I will leave you now at peace.
I delight to have allayed your suspicion. I wish you health and a little more courtesy. This is a well-constructed house. These walls are solidly put together.
Like the sobbing of a child. It's inhuman.
In the next instant, the wall was torn away. I had walled the monster up in the tomb. Let go of me! Get off!
Let's move on.
Get out of here!
Quickly.
Now! Get out! Now! Let's go!
Let's just move her out of the way. Let's come on. Let's get here. Come on in, everyone. All the way in.
Welcome to the hospital.
Hello, everyone in.
My name is Constance, and this is Washington College Hospital, where Poe died of mysterious causes. I'm here to show you around. This is Dr. Wilton, who will be performing the leg operation on Francis Strutter, who seems to have lost his right leg gangrene. We're doing everything we can to ensure a speedy recovery and a painless procedure. And over here, you can observe sufferers of some of the century's most gruesome illnesses, such as this patient who seems to be suffering from tuberculosis. All right, now that the leg is securely off, we can go ahead and deposit it into the wastebasket. Oh, not again.
Let's move on. Come on, quickly over here.
Thank you all so much. Come back soon.
All right, now that we're out of that factory of death, let's see where some of the unlucky patients go. This shows short representations of Morella, Bernice, Annabelle Lee, and Ligeia, some of Poe's most powerful women. Unfortunately, they all died untimely deaths. Let's move on.
Hold it down and spread out.
My companions told me I might find some little alleviation of my misery in visiting the grave of my beloved. With a feeling of deep, yet most singular affection, I regarded you, my friends. Thrown by accident into your society, my soul burns with fires it had never before known, and bitter and tormenting to my spirit is the gradual conviction that I could in no manner justify their unusual meaning, nor regulate their vague intensity. You could no longer bear the touch of my wan fingers, nor the low tone of musical language, nor the luster of melancholy eyes. I knew all this, but did not upbraid. Smiling, I called it fate. It is a fair day for the sons of earth and life. Ah, more fair for the daughters of heaven and death.
Disturbing even the identity of my person, you contemplate the thin and shrunken lips in a smile of peculiar meaning. Would to God you had never beheld the teeth of Bernice, or having done so, you had died. You can no longer hide it from your soul, nor throw it out from those perceptions which tremble to receive it.
What he spoke in the recesses of the soul. When amid those dim aisles and in the silence of the night, he whispered the syllables. Our ancestral voice responded, Morella, I am here.
All her teeth were ideas. All her steps were sentiments.
Look, go on, just try to leave it. Get away from these. Oh, there you go. Oh, wait, please make room.
Squeeze in, let everyone in.
Oh, yeah,
Is that everyone?
Lovely. I didn't know they were beating me today. Okay, behave. I will not behave. We are here, yes. Poe wrote the detective story genre. He was even called a model for all time. He came up with the idea of a detective and a narrator friend.
Throughout 3 stories, The Murders of the Rue Morgue, The Mystery of Marie Roget, and The Purloined Letter, this detective genre was developed.
I spent years investigating people just like you. You think you won't partake in the acts of violence you've seen here tonight, but you're all just a second away from snapping! You see, you will be driven mad too. Mad by this thing of the occult, this thing of nature, this thing of the hell that we live in. You see, I'm going to send you back to a night when a man heard a tapping at his chamber door. You see, you all will see.
Oh, yes. Edgar lost his wife to tuberculosis, a vicious disease that didn't spare a soul. Lenore, the character he used to represent his wife, and losing her, sent him into a spiral to the darkest parts of his mind, slowly sending him further and further into insanity and depression.
After that, he wrote his most famous work, The Raven.
I'll get
Please walk all the way down, but do not go too far. It's a safe hazard, you know.
Please keep the fireplace clear. So would you go on the side here? Thank you.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, eagerly I wished tomorrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. Deep into that darkness, steering long, I stood there, wondering, peering, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. It was at this moment, as I sat growling, that raven, stately, came in. Not the least obeisance made he. Not a minute stopped or stayed he. But with mine of lord or lady perched above my chamber door. Perched upon a busted palace just above my chamber door. Perched and sat, and nothing more. Now this empty word beguiling minds and fancy into smiles. Grim, stern decorum of the countenance it wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven now, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven wandering the nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Now this, I sat, engaged in guessing, not a syllable expressing, the vows fiery eyes burned in my bosom's core. This and more I sat finding, with my head at ease, reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, lamplight floating over. What this velvet violet lining, the lamplight floating o'er? She shall pass on, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, prophet still if ye be bird or devil, by that heaven that bends above us, by that God we both adore. Tell me, with sorrow laden, if within a distant Eden I shall clasp the sainted maiden whom the angels name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be that word our sign of parting. This, I shrieked, I'm starting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as token of that lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore.
Alright, let's do the lady says.
Come now, let's do the stand degree. Let's stop by a house and walk to the old friend. Actually, take a seat, please.
I believe he has a caretaker now. Those caretakers a bit strange. They claim to have acute senses. Me, personally, I think they're math. But they're a bit sensitive to that name.
You are serious. Tell me, you just stop putting things on doors before I touch them.
True. Nervous. Very. Dreadfully nervous. I But why would you say that I am mad? The disease has sharpened my senses, not destroyed, not dulled them, but evolved as a sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in the heavens and the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then? Am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily and how calmly. I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain. But once there, it haunted me. Day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his... yes, it was this. He had the eye of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Every time it
fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so, by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and thus rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point you fancy me mad, but you should have seen how wisely I proceeded. I was never kind to the old man in the whole week before I killed him. And every night around midnight, I turned the latch of the door and opened it, oh so gently, and then, in the dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out, and thrust my head in. Oh, you would have loved to see how cunningly I began. And then, I slowly opened the lantern until a single thin ray shot from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. And this I did for 7 long nights, but not the eye. It was always closed. So it was a puzzle to do the work, for it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when day broke, I turned the latch to his door, opened it, and entered, and asked him how he was light. Very well. Thank you. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed to have suspected anything. I was more than usually cautious come each night when opening the door. Never before had I felt the extent of my own powers to think that there I was, opening the door little by little, and he not even to dream of my sick deeds or thoughts. Now this is the point. You think that I could not. But no, the room was black. Pitch black. I knew that he could not see me. I had my head in. I was about to open the lantern when... Who's there? I kept quite still and said nothing. For a whole hour, I did not move, and he sat to the bed listening, just as I had done night after night, talking to the death watches and the walls. I knew what it sounded like. I say, I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt and pitied him. He had been saying to himself, "It is only the wind in the chimney, a mouse crossing the floor." He tried to comfort himself, but in vain. After a long time, I resolved to open the lantern, but very little, until a single ray shot through the crevice and fell full upon the vulture eye. It was wide open. I had directed the ray as if by instinct upon the damned spot. Now, if I had not told you what you would say for madness, fell over acuteness of the senses, now I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sounds as you watched me from the enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. The old man's tears must have been screaming. I thought the old man's heart was burst. The old man's hour has come. For many minutes, the heart beat on with a muffled sound. At length, ceased. The old man was dead. So dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer, after I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I took up 3 planks from the floorings and deposited all there. Then I replaced the floorings so cleverly that no human eye could have suspected anything wrong at all. There was no stain, no blood spot, until I had caught it all. And when I had made an end to these labors, welcome. The street was undoubtedly my own and dream. The old man who lives in my care is away in the country. Come in, search the house, search well. I led him at length to the chamber. You see, all is as it should be.
I'm satisfied with my investigation.
Here, a chair, sit. You must be tired, and some refreshments.
Thank you. You're very kind.
And in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, I placed myself upon the very spot which reposed the corpse of the victim.
You obviously have nothing to hide.
He sat while I answered cheerfully. We talked of familiar things, but ere long, I felt myself growing pale and wished him gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. I talked more freely to get rid of my feelings until I found that the noise was not within my ears. I talked more fluently with a heightened voice.
It's possible, yes.
But the noise increased. It was low, dull, quick sounds as a watch makes an enveloped cotton. Yet the officer heard it not. I talked more quickly, but the noise increased steadily. I argued about trifles.
Quite right, too.
But the noise increased. Why would it not be God? The noise increased. God, do hear louder and louder, and still the man chatted pleasantly and smiled. Was it possible that he heard it not? God, no. He heard it. He suspected. He knew. He was making a mockery of my court. Anything more tolerable than this version I felt. I would scream or die. Louder, louder, louder.
Are you alright?
This will no more. I'm with the deed. Turn the flips. There.
Go!
It was the beating. That's it. Hey, human heart. Let's go on, shall we? And the heart, the old man's heart, still beats to this day.
It's almost funny how the slightest nuisance can drive a person to ultimate insanity. How the closest companion can be your worst nightmare to no degree of your knowledge.
Let's come up here. Stand on the grass here, please. Come, but beware. The Red Death has claimed this land its own, showing mercy to none.
These are only some of the plague victims left to suffer and die in the streets, while the royalty and nobility party in seclusion, believing they are safe from death.
However, death is inevitable, as they will soon find out.
But let's not talk about death. This is a joyous occasion after all.
And you yourselves have been invited to this fine affair of delectable cuisine and lively flirtation. Your very own king has invited you to, thinking that you, too, will be safe until it has passed.
The last 6 months he's left us out with rocks. Yeah. But now he opens his doors, not to us, his royal subjects, but to you. You lucky few.
Silence! Come now!
Let's move on. We should hurry.
Please. I said now! You got 4 seconds! 5, 4, 3, 2, 1!
Lord. Soldiers married.
and there's red wine.
And all without the Red Dead. Now please, and enjoy the party. Come. All the way down, please.
Welcome. Please enjoy your time.
Welcome. This room is amply provisioned, and with such precautions you may bid defiance to contagion. And the external world will take care of itself. In the meantime, it is folly to grieve or to think. I have all the appliances of pleasure. How dare you enter my party? Well, unmask him so we may know who to hang by dawn. No one. Really. Cowards! All of you.
Catacombs, please. The catacombs, please. Let's move through here. Okay. It's over here. Lead them through. Over here. Follow me. Over here. Away from the death and the disease.
Fortunato. The 1,000 injuries of Fortunato I had borne the best I could. But when he ventured insult, I vowed revenge. However, I continued, as my wont, to smile in his face, and he did not perceive that my smile was now at the thought of his immolation. He had a weak point, this Fortunato. He prided himself on his connoisseurship in wine. In all else, he was an idiot. But in the matter of old wines, he was sincere. I would use the promise of the finest of sherry wines, the promise of Amontillado, to lure him to his punishment. Ah, yes, just a few moments ago I tricked that wretched fool. He could not believe his ears. Fortunato, my dear Fortunato, I sought you out because I have received what appears to be a cask of Amontillado.
Amontillado? How? Amontillado?
Amontillado.
That's impossible. That's simply impossible.
I have my doubts.
You paid the full price for the Amontillado.
I have my doubts. I may have been cheated, so I need an expert to taste it and see. It was almost time for me to enact my plan, to force Fortunato to his hellish demise. But beware, for once you enter these catacombs, you will not leave alive.
Where's the cask?
There's a passageway ahead. But it is far too cold in here. Your health is precious.
No, it is nothing. I must taste the Amontillado.
You're a man to be missed. For me, it is no matter. We will go back.
Go on.
I had no intention of alarming you unnecessarily, but you must use all proper caution. Here, a draught of this medic will surely defend us from the damp.
I drink to the dead that repose around us.
And I, to your long life. back ere it is too late.
Oh, it's nothing. I must taste the Amontillado.
Very well. Therein is the cask of Amontillado.
It is empty. No, please!
I am your judge, your jury, and your executioner.
Oh God, Montresor.
Yes.
No!
For the love of God!
Lead them!
Finally! Finally! Yes!
Go, follow Jack! Quickly!
Out here! Quickly now! Go, quickly! Through here! Now! There's a way out! Quickly! Through here! In here now! Quickly! Come in here! Quickly through here! Where are the skeletons? No! We're safe in here. We're safe. We're safe. We're safe.
Jack, how are we going to get out?
We're safe in here. We're safe.
Many people in this time period were buried alive because medicine was not very advanced. It was hard to tell if someone was alive or just unconscious. Just regardless, it seems it is now our turn to take a turn in this rich tradition.
No! No! We can't be buried alive! No! No! Come here! Come here!
I hope you all had a blast. Parking lot. Where's that thing?
We're out now. Our parking lot's over here. Thank you for coming. It's over now. No more. Goodbye.
Oh, I do love watching this.
Thank you for coming. Hope you had a lovely time.